The rain on Delta 7 was not water, but a slow, steady drip of cold hydrocarbons that smeared the viewports and gathered in oily puddles in the landing yard. Inside his prefabricated hab unit, the human was cleaning a plasma torch when the security perimeter alarm chimed, not with a breach warning, but with the soft, hesitant tone reserved for an authorized approach. He frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. He checked the external camera. The image was blurred by the oily rain, but it showed a small, solitary figure standing just inside the fence line, beneath the glow of a sodium lamp. It was a child of the Galilean, the avian species that nested in the metallic cliffs on the continent's edge. Its fine, silver feathers were plastered dark with rain and something else. Its large, dark eyes were fixed on the hab unit's door. The human put down his torch, wiped his hands, and keyed the door open. The cold, chemical smell of the rain washed in. The Galilean child did not move for a moment. Then it took one step forward, then another, its movement stiff. It stopped 2 meters away, just outside the circle of light from the doorway. The human could now see the dark streaks on its feathers were not rain, but a deep indigo fluid. Galilean blood. Its voice was a whisper, almost lost in the patter of the rain. "Help me, human. My parents were slain today." The words hung in the air. The human felt a cold weight settle in his gut. He was a mechanic, a freelancer. He fixed mining rigs and kept the few settlers on this dismal rock supplied with power. He avoided the complex social structures of the Galilean. Conflict was bad for business. "Can I stay here?" The child asked, its large eyes unblinking. The human looked past the child into the gloom of the yard. The warning systems were silent. No pursuit. But the indigo stains told a vivid story. He thought of his own childhood, of a house fire on Mars, of strangers who had made room for a suddenly parentless boy. The memory decided him. "Come inside," he said, his voice rougher than he intended. The child darted forward, a flash of silver and shadow, and was past him into the warm light of the main room. It stood on the permacrete floor, trembling, leaving small droplets of oil and blood. The human closed the door, engaging all the locks. He turned to see the child looking at him, its expressive crest lying flat against its skull in a sign of profound fear or grief. "Who did this?" The human asked, fetching a clean absorbent cloth from his workshop. The child accepted the cloth, but only held it. "The ones who dig in the deep places. The ones who wear the gray shells. They came to the nesting spire at twilight. They wanted the resonance stone my father kept. He refused. They did not ask again. The Cathar, a mercantile species, bipedal and heavily carapached. They had a mining concession 100 kilometers east. They were known for being blunt, efficient, and ruthless in their acquisitions. A Galilean resonance stone was a rare crystal formed by their nesting songs over centuries. It was priceless to them and reportedly useful in subspace topography. A target. "They will come here," the child stated, the tremble leaving its voice, replaced by a terrible certainty. "They track life signs. Yours is the only habitation for many kilometers that is not." Silent now. As if summoned by the words, the perimeter alarm chimed again. This time, it was the sharp, urgent tone of a breach. A red light flashed on the wall panel. The external camera feed showed 3 hulking figures stepping through the melted remains of the front gate. They wore gray, armored environmental suits, their faceted visual sensors scanning the yard. One held a long-barreled scanner, another a heavy industrial cutter. The third carried a compact pulse rifle. The human's mind switched gears. This was no longer about hospitality. This was a siege. His hab unit was sturdy, built to withstand Delta 7 storms, but it was not a fortress. The Cathar would cut through the door or a wall in minutes. "Hide," he said to the child, his voice low and calm. "They're coming." The child looked around, frantic. The main room was a workshop, cluttered with machinery and parts. The human pointed to a large access panel low on the wall near the fusion generator. "The maintenance crawl space. Go. Don't make a sound." Without a word, the child scrambled over, slipped its slender form through the panel opening, and pulled it shut just as a heavy, metallic fist began to pound on the main door. "Human!" A synthesized voice boomed from outside. "Open. You have something that belongs to the Cathar Collective. Compliance avoids damage." The human did not answer. He moved quickly to his main workbench, his hands steady. He was a mechanic. He did not have weapons, but he had tools, and he had a profound understanding of the systems in his care. The pounding turned to a high-pitched whine. The industrial cutter was being applied to the door seal. Molten metal began to drip. The human grabbed his plasma torch and a canister of concentrated thermite gel, used for welding deck plates. He then went to the main environmental control panel. Delta 7's atmosphere was toxic but stable. His HAB unit scrubbed it and enriched it with oxygen for his comfort. It was a delicate balance dot as the cutter breached the door, sending a slagged piece of metal clattering to the floor. The human made his adjustments. He disconnected the oxygen scrubbers and initiated a full, high-power atmospheric intake from outside. He set the internal mix to recycle at maximum, concentrating the incoming gases. Then, he opened the release valves on 3 small canisters of industrial catalyst, a fine, metallic powder used in refinery processes. The door fell inward with a crash. The 3 Cathar filled the doorway, their gray shells slick with rain. The one with the scanner pointed it into the room. "The juvenile's life sign is here. Faint. It is hiding." The lead Cathar, the one with the rifle, stepped inside, its sensor eyes locking onto the human who stood beside his workbench. The plasma torch held loosely at his side. "You have interfered," the synthesized voice stated. "Give us the juvenile, and you will live." "You're in my home," the human said, "and you're tracking toxic mud on my floor." The Cathar took another step. Its companion with the cutter raised the tool, its tip glowing orange. The air in the room was changing, growing thick. The fine catalyst dust introduced into the now oxygen-rich, highly circulated air from the concentrated intake was creating a volatile suspension. The human raised the plasma torch. "I'd advise you to leave." The Cathar with the rifle made a sound that was probably a laugh. It raised its weapon. Primitive. The human thumbed the ignition on the plasma torch. With a roar, a 6-foot lance of star-hot plasma erupted from the nozzle. But he did not aim it at the Cathar. He aimed it at the air in the center of the room, right into the heart of the catalyzed, oxygen-rich suspension. The effect was not an explosion, but a catastrophic deflagration. A wall of superheated fire erupted from the point of ignition, filling the entire volume of the room's atmosphere in an instant. The human, who had lunged behind a heavy shielded welding table the moment he triggered the torch, felt the searing wave of heat pass over him. The Cathar, encased in their environmental shells, were not so lucky. Their suits were designed for hard vacuum and mining hazards, but not for a sudden, all-encompassing inferno of such intensity. The external sensors were blinded and fused. Joint seals, stressed by the instantaneous heat, warped and failed. The one with the cutter screamed as the tool in its hand superheated and malfunctioned. The rifleman staggered back, its carapace smoking, its visual sensors dark. The firestorm lasted only 3 seconds before it consumed the available fuel and died, leaving the room filled with acrid smoke and a blinding, eye-watering haze of metallic particles. Alarms blared fire suppression, atmospheric integrity. Coughing, the human stood up. His clothes were singed, His face felt burnt, but he was alive. The Cathar were not dead. Their shells had protected them from the worst, but they were utterly neutralized. They stumbled, blind and disoriented, one crashing into a support beam, another collapsing to its knees, clawing at its helmet. The human walked past them, stepping over the ruined door. He picked up the fallen pulse rifle from the smoking grasp of the lead Cathar. It was heavy, alien. He pointed it at them. "Your suit's distress beacons are active," he said, his voice raspy from the smoke. "Your ship will come. When it does, you will tell them the juvenile is dead. You will tell them the human destroyed the resonance stone in the fire. You will tell them this planet holds only death and bad business for the Cathar. If you do not, the next time we meet, I will not be so generous with the atmosphere." The lead Cathar managed to tilt its head, a distorted grating sound coming from its vocalizer. It was a gesture of understanding, of defeat. The human retreated, sealing the inner blast door to the workshop, isolating the ruined main room. He went to the fusion generator and tapped on the access panel. "It's clear. You can come out." The panel slid open. The Galilean child emerged, feathers ruffled, eyes wide with fear and awe. It looked at the sealed door, from behind which came the sounds of the injured Cathar. "Are they—" "They'll live, and they'll leave," the human said. He placed the alien rifle on a table. "Your parents' stone. Do you have it?" The child hesitated, then nodded. It reached into the layers of its feather vest and produced a small, milky white crystal that seemed to hum with a faint internal light. "Keep it hidden," the human said. "When the rains stop, I will take you to the starport. There is a freighter captain I know, a friend. She will get